Welcome over to Automotive World, everyone. I'm your host, Vinny Mystery. We are back. We are going to now get on over to Kia. I am really excited for Kia. Kia's been making some pretty cool stuff. This is really big. This is going to be a long one. Sit down, relax, get your snacks, get your popcorn, because there's going to be some good, there's going to be some bad, but there's going to be just so much exciting news. So let's get right into this. Oh my goodness, does this hatchback look amazing. And the fact that Kia is even giving us a hatchback in 2025, almost halfway through, we're soon going to be in 2026, which is crazy. This is awesome. So Kia, just even though as an enthusiast, I would have liked to have seen it have like 228 or 230 or 240 or 250 horsepower. I didn't need to have like 300. Even though I personally wouldn't get this car just because of the horsepower. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this car here. Let's get started right into this because obviously the K4 Sedan now offers a hatchback option. It looks amazing. This is available with the turbocharged 190 horsepower engine, 1.6 liter. You get up to 22 cubic feet of space behind the passengers. Kia is saying that this is going to provide class-leading rear headroom and rear legroom. Really amazing what we're seeing here. This model is up to 11 inches shorter. 11 inches shorter than the sedan. First of all, that's a lot. 11 inches, that's a foot, pretty much a foot shorter. We're only an inch off from a foot shorter. You don't usually see cars downsizing. And even when you do see vehicles downsize, it's usually not to that degree. That's awesome. And Kia didn't skimp out. We've got a huge sunroof, Harman Kardon audio, heated and ventilated front seats. We're going to have, a really good amount of tech. You know, Kia and Hyundai, they do usually those big screens, all one piece. So the digital display with the connectivity, 360 round view monitor, the blind spot monitor, that's almost a 30-inch total screens. This thing is just absolutely huge, and the safety features are insane. And this is expected to arrive in showrooms late 2025. Now, unlike the Palisade video, I believe the Palisade is built here in the United States because it is a US specific model, I think. This is going to be interesting with the K4 because Kia and Hyundai, most of their vehicles are, except for like the Telluride, are made overseas in Korea. Obviously, tariffs change every single day. So we don't know what pricing is, and we don't know how pricing is going to be affected on here, especially because this is the lower end model. It's very good for an entry level model. We don't know how that's going to affect affordability, but it's not going to be in a positive way. So we're not going to speculate on pricing because honestly, we just don't know, sadly. But we can at least know what it looks like, and we can at least be excited about that. So let's talk about this even more. 22.2 cubic feet of room behind the rear seats. With the seats folded down, you have a total of 59.3 cubic feet. So, if you're just a single person, maybe a small family, you have a little bit of room to work with this. Despite this being 11 inches shorter than its counterpart, or 10.6 inches shorter on the GT line, Kia still says that it keeps that class-leading rear legroom. It's, you are not compromising, and you still get the headroom as well. You get the same LED headlights and the tail lights there. Those are inspired by the EV9. They talk about the new yellow color where they had to, integrate it into the C-pillar to give it, the hatchback proportions there. Standard 17-inch alloy wheels, black mirrors. You get the 3-spoke steering wheel. The GT line turbo gets small little cube LED projection lights. Really nice there. Standard power sunroof, 16-inch front brakes. 16-inch front brakes on a car that's that small. Those are really big brakes. And they went down in horsepower, but those are really big brakes. Good on Kia for at least keeping that there. I mean, standard features as we'd expect, digital gauge cluster. Like I said, Kia Hyundai, they like to do it where it's one piece versus how we saw at VW, where it's separate on the infotainment system, separate on the digital cockpit. Nearly 30 inches. 30 inches of screen. Wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, standard across all hatchback trims. That is really, really nice, because even nowadays we still see manufacturers on certain trims charge for that. Standard across all trims. Wireless phone charger as well. They don't say what the wattage is there, but it's probably around a 10 to 15 watt, which is more than enough. Available features included heated front seats, Harman Kardon premium sound system, the digital key 2.0 with the ultra wideband, so that allows you to use like an Apple Watch or your phone as a key. So really, really cool features there. Just like with some, with the Palisade and all that, this is going to get over-the-air updates. So this is really, really cool. You're able to get some of those over-the-air updates. Not going to necessarily have to visit the dealer as much. This is also still available with the standard 2-liter engine, which is 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. Now, it does technically have like a CVT. Obviously, look, that's a lot slower, right? It's a lot less power. But here's the thing. Maybe this is your first car. Maybe you're just looking for something fuel efficient, something relatively reliable with a good warranty. That's a good option for a lot of people. Like I said, as an enthusiast, I wish they would have competed with the GLI and all that, at least on the GT trim. It would have made sense, but you know what? I applaud you, Kia, for coming out with a cool looking vehicle that is going to relatively be affordable, decent build quality. This is awesome, because you know what? There's still a lot of people in the world that this is what they need. This is all they can afford. This is good enough for them until they can maybe get something better. Or maybe this is just what they want. This is, that's awesome. You have an option for everyone. You want a little bit more of a sporty option. You want a little bit more of a fuel efficient option. This is really, really awesome there for Kia. With the turbo model though, however, you get an 8-speed automatic transmission. Really, really cool there. Nothing crazy. Like I said, I wish we could just see those horsepower numbers more. I know, like on the Mazda, it's 250 horsepower. I know on the GTI, it's 241. It would have been nice for you to compete with that. And I think it would have, people would have bought it up, especially with the Kia warranty. Even if you didn't do that, I would have at least liked to have seen you do 228 or 230 horsepower like the GLI. But hey, it is what it is. And honestly, still a cool car. In terms of safety features, obviously blind spot monitoring and all that stuff, you get all that. Smart cruise control, which is adaptive cruise control. Stop and go, standard lane keep assist. Optional in the K4 GT line models is your evasive steering, which can help you avoid obstacles, obviously. Highway driving assist, that just allows you to kind of keep you centered within the lane. Make sure you have enough space between the car in front of you and things like that. Just keep you a little bit safer on there. Like I said, blind spot collision warning, rear cross traffic alert, standard blind spot collision avoidance assist, blind spot view monitor, surround view monitor, park distance warning. Those are all available. Those are the options. But overall, looking at this vehicle, we're going to look at the photos here in just a second. But overall, looking at this vehicle, this is beautiful, honestly. It's really comprehensive. I really, really like it. Good job, Kia. I am glad this looks like this. And we're just going to zoom in on these. We don't need to download them. Like I said, personally, if you ask me, I think this thing looks great. Black rims, too. I think this thing looks great. If they offered up to 250 horsepower on this, like the Mazda 3 turbo hatchback does, with Kia's warranty, even if they priced it around the same, like 35, honestly, I would buy this right now in a heartbeat. I would eat this thing up, because this thing you look at it at every angle, it really looks awesome. And especially with a hatchback like this, this is a very European design. The way the roof is sloped like that, this almost kind of gives it that hatchback station wagon kind of vibe, like a shooting brake. And we don't see that very often, especially here in America. I just think, honestly, absolutely on the looks, killed it. Absolutely killed it. I don't think they could have done any better. I think personally, in ways, the K4 actually looks better than the K5, but I'm looking at this K4 hatchback here. I mean, this thing just amazing. I love it. I love it. I have no complaints about it. Looks awesome. Like I said, if this thing just had more horsepower with that Kia warranty, I would buy it up. I would buy it up. It's just great stance. Overall, you know, dimensions are very, very nice. Obviously, being 11 inches shorter, this thing is just going to be something really nice to throw around in the corners. And honestly, too, sometimes it's, you know, I prefer it have more horsepower, but sometimes there is some fun in just an underpowered car, just always, you know, giving it its you know, maximum capability. You know, you're stressing it a little bit, but sometimes throwing a, you know, putting an underpowered car at, you know, full blast is kind of fun too. And this is going to be one of those cars, and I mean, this thing looks amazing. The interior, I mean, is, you know, we look at the exterior and that was amazing. The interior is absolutely no slouch. I will say though, one thing, and it does look better on this steering wheel than it does on others. Kia, please stop doing this off-center logo. I just don't know what it is with my brain. I don't like the way this logo is off the center like that. But this interior, oh my goodness, this looks amazing. Very tasteful, nice, you know, materials everywhere. Like that, we still have a physical shifter there in the middle. We've got our buttons here on the door, nice handle, window controls. Great buttons on the steering wheel there. Love, love, love that. Love the buttons up here for aircon and for just like radio control and stuff. Really nice there. Like I said, Kia likes to do the one-piece screen, so obviously kind of partitions here. So essentially, you know, half of it is your infotainment system, the other half is your actual instrumentation and things like that. But love the display of physical buttons everywhere. Love the way the interior looks. I like the combo going on here. This looks very, very nice, very tasteful. I think Kia did a great job there. We've got an even better picture of it right here. Nice the way the buttons are on the steering wheel. Very nice the way these buttons are here. I will say, I don't listen to the radio too often, so tuning knob isn't an issue for me, but I will say I change the volume quite a lot. Now, you have a volume button on the steering wheel. I'm not gonna lie. So really, the only person who should be using this volume button is the passenger, really. But looks-wise, it looks good, but it just would have been nice to put it on the side there. But that's me nitpicking. Like I said, you're gonna use the steering wheel. This is for the passenger. I'm just happy they gave us physical buttons, unlike the Tiguan, except on the steering wheel. Really, really nice. Temperature buttons up here, fan speed buttons up here. Really, really nice there. A little bit inconvenient fan control button for if you're on the passenger side, but like I said, at least it's a physical button. We can kind of see our USB-C ports down here. That's really, really nice there. That infotainment system is really, really nice. Pretty much it's split 50-50 essentially. So like I said, it's all one piece. This is a really great picture right here. We can see the backseat a little bit, but look at how much space you have when you pull it down. Obviously, look, this is a small car, right? This is not going to be huge, but small family, or maybe you're about to start your family, you know, this is a car that is obviously, look, it's going to be, might be a little tight, but it's usable. I mean, you know, if you're a family of maybe, you know, 3, you know, newborn, or maybe your family of 2, you're going to start, you know, maybe in the near future soon, you know, you're going on trips. This is enough to get luggage in there. This is enough to do just those basic things. Like I said, it's going to be a little tight, but it's enough to do it. So really nice capability that we have there. I like the seats here. I like the stitching on the seats. I like that. That's really good. Paddle shifter there. Really, really nice. Obviously, this is taken on purpose to focus that and have some bokeh there in the background. So whoever the photographer was for that, that's really nice. I know that was definitely the photographer who shot that photo, not Kia who came up with that. Really like this picture here. Really good. Like the gear shifter here, that's really nice. We can see a better view of our USB-C ports, 12 volts. Looks like we got our wireless charging pad down there. They've put some things around it so your device doesn't necessarily move around too much. I kind of like that. I think it's nice. I don't know why manufacturers don't just use like MagSafe chargers and magnetic chargers, but that's okay. We've got some buttons here for, looks like some of the parking features, things like that. We've got cup holders here. Really, really nice, really tasteful, think they did a good job. Those are all the photos it looks like we have there, except for some more kind of the exterior. We've got the door handle integrated into the mirror there, into the window there. I do like the way that looks. I'm going to be honest though. If you're a family just starting off and you have a very young child, maybe obviously you're not keeping this car very long, or you have a family car, this is just something for kind of daily driving and stuff. If your child is super, super small, that is maybe a little high. I mean, obviously this is a small car, so it's not going to be like that forever, but if they're really small, obviously they're not going to be able to reach that. Now, obviously, if they are that small, you should probably be the one putting them in the car, just, parenting advice. But I like the way they did it. Practicality, I mean, that's just me nitpicking. But practicality, maybe you might see some issues there. I'm just going to be honest, though. Other than the engine. And there's nothing wrong with the engine. It's just, I wish they would have done a more powerful one that competes with, like, the Mazda 3 and the GTI, the Jetta GLI. Other than that, personally, K4 Hatchback, I think it's a home run. We have to see what they price it, especially with tariffs, with what happens, because obviously, nowadays with tariffs, car manufacturers just, it's kind of a free-for-all out there, but I think K4 Hatchback's a home run. That's just me. I would give it a 10 out of 10. Let's go on over, because like I said, this is going to be a long video. Let's go on over to the EV4. This is an all-new, all-electric EV. This is essentially like the K4, but an EV version of it, which is really, really nice because we need some affordable EVs here in America and in the world. We need some cool ones that look decent, have good performance. Honestly, look, you guys know me. As much as I love pickup trucks and I love SUVs, we need some sedans. We need some hatchbacks. This is refreshing for the soul. This is Kia's first all-electric global sedan. You're wondering, first global sedan. Keep in mind, things like, like with Hyundai and all that, like the Ioniq, 5 and all, that's technically an SUV, but first global sedan. This is big for a lot of reasons. Number one, first global sedan. This is going to be worldwide. Number two, because of that, because this is going to be sold worldwide, this is going to be interesting on pricing, because in terms of like production and things like that, in terms of how this is going to be built and things, if this is a global sedan that's going to be sold everywhere, and obviously we're here in Kia North America website, so it's obviously going to be sold in the United States, this is really good for production. This is really good for saving costs, and especially with tariffs hitting right now too. Supply chain. This is really, really big. Now, let's get into this. It looks interesting. Looks like we've got two high voltage battery options. We've got the smaller, the light version, 58.3 kilowatt hours. Then we've got the bigger 81.4 kilowatt hours. That's going to be on the Wind and GT line. They're estimating 330 miles of all-electric range. Depending on the price, that's actually not bad, because if you look at a Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive, I believe that's up to 363 miles of range, and we know Tesla's numbers are a little enthusiastic, so that's actually not bad. That's pretty good, actually. 10 to 80% charge with a DC fast charger in just 29 or 31 minutes, depending on battery size. That's not bad. That's industry standard, pretty much. That's kind of in line with everybody, honestly. I think we'd all like to see it come down a little more, especially here in North America, but that's not bad. 400 volt EV, dedicated platform. Because of the charging standard it is using, you are going to be able to take this to like a Tesla supercharger and things. So that's really, really good there, because look, we can all debate cars. Whether you like EVs, whether you don't like them, whether you like Tesla, whether you don't like them. There's a few things that Tesla does that's better than everybody else. Their powertrains are quite nice. Their software is quite nice. But their charging network is just better. It's just is. It's faster. It's more reliable. It's just better. I'm sorry. I know there's people like ChargePoint and Electrify America and all them. I'm sorry. Tesla's charging network still to this day embarrasses everybody. So the fact that you can use this with a Tesla, supercharging network, that's a game changer. That's huge. You do have regenerative braking. Kia is calling it iPedal 3.0, variable regenerative braking. You do have, available vehicle to load capability for compatible electronics, including laptops and lighting. Not really sure what they mean by that. I'm assuming that's a charging thing, but we'll find out here in a second. Very similar to the K4. 30 inches combined total widescreen display for the digital cockpit things. Obviously, like I said, Kia likes to do it one piece. You get there, some safety suite stuff included, and this is expected in the US to launch as early as 2026. This is very promising. Kia is giving us a sedan. It has decent range. Let's see what the performance might be, but assuming that this is quite affordable, this is really big. This, honestly, if they price this right, looks-wise, I'm not really a big fan of it looks-wise. I do think a Model 3 looks better than it, but if Kia prices this right, this could be huge for them, for the EV game. This could just be massive, honestly. Let's see what we've got here. I mean, Kia's talking about seeking a more practical, affordable option for EVs. Now, they're not going into necessarily what pricing. Now, we do know here, obviously, there's expected to be 3 trim levels, and we know that because they just told us that. Light, Wind, and GT line. Obviously, 2 of them are going to have that bigger battery pack that might equate to more performance. One of them's going to have that smaller battery pack, which could in theory equate to less performance and obviously less range. Looking over here, though, we see that they talk about the design and all that. These cube LED headlights that are available with the dynamic projection lights, how we kind of saw on the K4 earlier. 17-inch wheels, standard aero wheels, 19 inches on the GT line, so a little more athletic there. And we're looking through here. Obviously, this is a full EV in terms of the powertrain here. Let's see what we got here. So we've got the standard 58.3 kilowatt hour battery, and that's going to be provided to front-mounted 150 kilowatt motor, front-wheel drive, light and wind models. Those will have an estimated range of 235 and 330 respectively. The GT line, which has that 84.1 kilowatt hour, let's see, that's also mounted, looks like, to both batteries mounted to the 150 kilowatt motor hour. So I don't think here, because it's the same motor either way and it's just a single motor front wheel drive, I don't think if you get the GT line, you're going to get better performance. I don't think they're going to give you a horsepower boost. They might, but I don't think they are. I think it's really just more of a range boost. And I think with EVs at this point, range is the biggest thing because, the torque is instant. It's electric. But interesting there. So same motor option. There's no dual motor option or anything. And I can kind of understand that because this is already a small car. You're trying to keep it affordable, but ultimately you're trying to keep weight down too, and you want to make range the biggest thing. So that's interesting there. We'll have to see maybe if they do a small bump to the horsepower on the GT model, but it doesn't look like they're going to. Kia talks about the performance efficiency with aerodynamics that they did to, get it to a very low drag coefficient, which is good. And they talk about fast charging, 10 to 80% in 29 minutes on the smaller 58 kilowatt hour battery, 31 minutes on the 84 or the 81 kilowatt hour battery. That's actually not bad. So essentially on the battery that's roughly like 20 to 30% bigger, you're only 2 more minutes in theory to fast charge. That's pretty cool there. Nice to see that there. The charging port is located on the front passenger side. It's a weird thing to say in a press release, but I will be honest, as somebody who works at a mall as well, there's Tesla supercharger nearby, which never has issues, but there's an Electrify America station there. There's only like 4 or 5 stalls. And there's always a line. There's always people. I see people there like waiting for like an hour, waiting to charge. And you would be surprised on an EV how much the placement of the charging port matters. Because depending on who's behind you or in front of you and how the stall is set up, if your charging port's on the wrong side or the cable's not long enough, you might not be able to use that, even though it's a free space. So, as crazy as that sounds, it's actually interesting. It's interesting how that can play into this. In terms of the ride comfort, it looks like Kia here does actually want to make a little bit of an effort. So, EV-tuned McPherson struts with rear suspension multi-link, which is actually really nice because there are some cars that are more expensive that are kind of luxury performance cars. Mazda 3, which have rear torsion beams. Interesting how Kia didn't go that route, and it's better that they didn't go that route. And I thank you, Kia, for not going that route. Thank you very, very much. In terms here, they talk about regenerative braking. They don't tell us exact numbers on, how it's going, how much, energy you can recapture. But essentially, you kind of have like that one pedal driving mode essentially, which is really cool. It's a benefit to EVs. Now, this one here is really, really interesting here. This is that one where they talked about the V2L functionality. So this is designed to allow vehicles to manage the flow of electricity from compatible external devices like laptops, lighting, and small electronics. I'm not sure still necessarily what that means, but you're able to manage the flow of electricity. It's the words of Kia. We'll have to look into that a little more. In terms of connectivity, Digital Key 2.0, this is something pretty much Kia and Hyundai have across all their models, and it works really well. 30 inches total screen, 12-inch screens. That's how it's kind of broken down essentially. 5-inch climate displays. You've got over-the-air updates, really, really nice. You've got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, what is interesting is that this offers wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So it might not be standard, which is interesting. So that is going to be interesting when it plays into pricing, if it's standard or not. Now, I'll be honest, if you have a phone, you can use wired CarPlay. I just use wired CarPlay in my car because my car didn't come with a wireless charger or wireless CarPlay until the year after. So I just use the cable. You can buy one of those, adapters that give you wireless CarPlay, but then by the time you get a wireless charger, you mount and everything, it's just like, for the price, I just use the cable. But that's interesting that they don't offer it standard. Very, very interesting on that. Kia does have their AI assistant in there, so does Hyundai as well. It uses machine learning, so you're able to have it maybe do certain tasks and things, control air conditioning vents, have it control the temperature and things. It's kind of cool. I don't think I would use it. I would probably just do it manually, honestly. That's just me, but it's kind of cool to have that feature. Kia talks about their advanced driver assistance technology, highway driving assistance, so this is a standard on here. It's designed to be used on state highways, U.S. highways, federal interstates. It'll automatically adjust vehicle speed, set it to posted speed limit signs if the speed limit is initially set, and then it helps you maintain distance from the vehicle. So they don't say if it doesn't really sound like a semi-autonomous system, and even if it was, it'd be like a level 1 probably, maybe level 2 top. So obviously this is not a full self-driving by any sort of means. You've got the ability to available features like driver attention warning, forward collision avoidance assist, lane following assist, intelligent speed limit assist, the remote parking assist, standard hands-on detection, so it'll tell if you can take your hands and things off the wheel and stuff. So you got some of those features there. Obviously, it's interesting that Kia on this particular model has a little bit more features that they say are offered, which aren't standard like on the K4. And considering this is an EV2, like if you're offering Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but you're not making it standard, I wonder, because Kia says they're focusing on this being affordable, and I think it's a good thing. This doesn't need to be a speed demon. This doesn't even need to be a performance car by any means. If this is an affordable EV, this is actually what the world needs. For people who just, even I could use an affordable EV that has terrible, it's not like a GTI or nothing, but just a daily drive to save money on gas and things. But if they're offering that as available and not standard, I wonder where Kia is thinking of pricing this vehicle and those features, because that's quite interesting. Like I said, quite interesting. Let's take a look at some of the photos and the pictures. Now, I'm going to be honest. It doesn't look bad, right? It looks like the EV6, definitely. It looks like the K4 a little bit. I can see it from here. Does it look bad? No, it doesn't look bad. I've definitely seen EVs and vehicles in general that look a lot worse, like Nissan Leaf. But it's not, I don't know, if you ask me, it's not really a looker. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. I don't think it looks bad. I think the rims look great. I think the wheels look phenomenal. I kind of like the square design going on here. I don't know about it. I don't know. I just said it's not. I've seen vehicles that are uglier. I've seen not only EVs, I'm talking about gas vehicles that are uglier, but I don't know about this one. But it doesn't look bad. Just, I don't know. It doesn't look great to me. But at the same time, listen, if this is being an economical vehicle, if Kia can get this thing like 30,000 tops, and you can get like this 30,000 for 330 miles of range and make an affordable EV like that, Kia's going to do, like, they're going to sell this thing like hotcakes. This will be the number one selling model, number one selling vehicle in the US. This will be the number one selling EV. This can put them ahead of Tesla and things. So this vehicle is designed for a purpose. So, you know what? We'll make compromises. But like I said, at least just from what I'm seeing, it looked bad? Nah. But it didn't really look like a looker. So definitely here, we can definitely see K4, K5 vibes. We can definitely see EV6 vibes. The back end looks better than the front. The back end definitely looks better than the front. Definitely would say that. It still looks weird, especially like right here. Looks weird. But hey. Good press. Let's look at the interior. Not bad. Obviously this doesn't look like the softest thing in the world. Looks like, obviously, in there they want it to be affordable, right? They're building it down to a budget. That's actually a really big thing, though, to see, because as we mentioned earlier, with some of those other safety features and like the CarPlay and all that not being standard, or at least from the verbiage it's offered, which indicates it might not be standard. Seeing a soft touch or just a cheaper material like that kind of plays into the part, like, how cheap are they going to make this? Because if they make this the right price point, this is going to sell like hotcakes. But it doesn't look too bad. That seems to be like a soft touch material. Infotainment system looks pretty nice. You got a few switches here, volume on, off. You got USB-C down here. You got your screen here. You got, looks like some capacitive buttons here. That's not too bad. It's tastefully done. I'd rather it be a physical button, but you know what? It's tastefully done. I'll take it. Screen's pretty similar to the K4 and on the other models. It's a nice screen that they do. No complaints there. We have got pretty much the same steering wheel here. Buttons are in a good spot. Nice looking steering wheel, actually. Really good job there. Usually EV steering wheels just look kind of weird, but this one actually looks quite nice. Kia, just, you know, the logo, it just bothers me, but hey, whatever. Got some buttons down here, wireless charger down there. We got your window controls and things here. Memory buttons for seat and stuff. Door handle, I like that. Looks good there. Not too bad looking, honestly. I think, you know, this is pretty good. It's pretty good. The interior, I think, looks a lot better than the exterior. Good screen here. Same one pretty much as on the other one. It's nice. It's nice. I think it's good. Seat looks good. I like that. That looks good. I like the GT line stitch in there. It looks good. I don't necessarily like this picture of it. I think it should be on a darker contrast material, but it's interesting. Nice little view here. These are definitely capacitive buttons. Wish they were physical, but hey, it's okay. I will say though, capacitive buttons on a white interior. I would not get a white interior. Because let's be honest, in your car, right? Look, everybody's fingers get dirty. Everybody gets in their car and all that. That's going to look terrible in no time. I would not get that with a white interior. Got more button, view of the door here and things. Got a lot of buttons here and a little storage here. Looks nice there. I like that. The back seats, okay, interesting. Interesting texture and design that they've chosen. Definitely the door handle definitely looks obviously like a cheaper material, but obviously this is built down to a budget. I don't think this necessarily looks bad though. This is just a very interesting design and pattern and texture that they've done on the seat. That's just interesting. Harman Kardon system, nice. Harman Kardon makes good sound systems. We've got our gear shifter here, nice. Prefer it down by the center console, but hey, it's okay. At least it's there. I'd rather take this than a push button. Push buttons just look tacky to me. Here's a pretty good view of that. Definitely capacitive buttons. So you got your home, map, search, media, stars, your favorite things, and then basic setup. Cool. Got a temperature here. Looks to be dual zone climate. Yep, as we would expect. Fan speed over here, different mode here, hazards here. Nice. And like I said, guys, this is going to be a long one, so get your snacks and everything. We've got some buttons here, so auto hold here. Looks like our parking sensors and our buttons here. Really nice there. Wireless charger there. Kia's got the little kind of things for it to kind of keep your phone a little bit in place there. So that's nice to see. A lot of storage here and a lot of storage here. That's really nice. Always nice when you can find quirky, usable things like that. I like this. This is good here. Like I said, that's just another view of the cup holder and things. Really nice there. Alrighty, this is another view of the interior. Let's see what else we've got. Some exterior views. Here's our charging port here. Looks nice. Looks like there's a little screen right here telling us based off this indicator right here, whether it's locked, whether it's charging or low charge, or if there's a problem. That's kind of cool. So this changes color, and then you got a little physical legend there. That's nice. You don't always see that. I like that. No need to overcomplicate it. The EV4 GT line. There's something about the front. Like I said, it doesn't look bad, but it's just, I don't know. It's just not growing on me yet. Maybe it'll grow on me. Who knows? I like the wheels, though. I think the wheels are good. Now, we're not going to play a video here. That's going to be pretty much it for the EV4. We're going to move on over to our final vehicle for Kia. So stay tuned, everybody. Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back on over to Automotive World. We are going to look at our final Kia that we saw at the New York Auto Show. Now this one here, look, let's be honest, it's not really new. The Kia EV9 has been around for a while. We just have a new Nightshade edition. So, 3-row electric SUV, just like the Telluride. It does have boosted acceleration, so we do have some updates that are worthy of going over here. So let's go over them. First of all, they have increased the torque by quite a lot, actually. Going from 443 pound-feet of torque to 516 pound-feet of torque. That's going to take this thing 0 to 60 in about 4.5 seconds. That's really quick. Especially a vehicle of this size, that's really quick. This is faster than a Jetta GLI, a Golf GTI. That's really quick. That's really good. We have new exterior paint color. We have new trim with genuine stitching. And cool thing is, because this is assembled here in Georgia, Kia's West Point plant does qualify for the $7,500 EV tax credit. So also because it's, assembled and all that there too. Theoretically, the tariffs on this vehicle should be a lot less. Obviously, we'll have to see because tariffs change every day, but we'll have to see. But this is really cool though, because that same, 6-passenger or 7-passenger seating configuration you get all-season tires. The Nightfall has the black front grille accents. You get the roof rails, the mirrors, your lower door sill accents and things like that. Exclusive black interior color scheme, the seating upholstery pattern, the genuine stitching that's going to be exclusive to it. Obviously, this, you can get it with the captain's chairs. or 60/40 split fold second row there, to give you 7-seater capacity. Same 379 horsepower, so the horsepower was already pretty good, but 440 pound-feet of torque to 443 to 516 pound-feet of torque. That's going to make it go in about 4.5 seconds 0 to 60. That's really, really good. Charging speeds, you're able to use this with the Tesla supercharger network. Nothing really too much to go over here other than the new colors, and other than the increase in torque, which is something. Really, the biggest thing is going to be design here. So let's just get right into the photos and the videos. Why waste time? And I think it's not bad. I think this looks nice. Is a design necessarily that I'm screaming after? No. But I think it looks nice. I think it looks good. Looks obviously pretty much on the exterior kind of the same as the other one. Obviously with the Nightshade, we can see the trim accents and things like that they talk about there. We can see the black mirrors and things. And like I said, I think it looks nice. I do think it looks better than the EV4. Definitely would go with that. I think it looks quite nice. I like the tires. I like the wheels. Yeah. Interior, you can see the pattern there. We've got a lot of physical, very obviously pretty much the same interior as the EV4. So haptics up here, 30-inch screen, some physical buttons down there, air conditioning, your mirror and all that there. You've got some buttons here for cameras and things like that. Center console there. I do like the steering wheel on this one better. I like the design is kind of cool, but I just like how this, at least it's the Kia logo is, I don't mind that it's necessarily bigger, but I just like that at least it's centered, so I like that. I think that's a better steering wheel. I think this part of the steering wheel, like the design is kind of weird, but it's okay. I like the steering wheel though. I do like the way the seats look. I think it looks quite nice with that pattern there. This is obviously with the captain's chairs here, but you could do the 7-seater configuration, and it's a 60/40 here and second row. I like the front seats. They look quite nice. They look quite comfortable. You got your headrest up there. That looks quite good. We've got our center console here. We've got our buttons for the cameras and things here. This is going to open that up. USB-C here. Nice. Real good. Some under storage here. Nice there. Really good. Another good look at that seat pattern. I think it looks quite nice. Very interesting. I like it with the black, and I do quite like the way you can kind of see, like with the stitching and stuff. I think it's quite nice. Interesting little touch here. Alright, so it looks like we got like a little bit of the roof rack or something there. We got on the Nightshade, that was kind of some of the under part of the trim they were talking about there with the bumper and everything. I think it looks nice. Got those Kumo tires on there. I think the EV9 looks quite nice. And the fact that it's getting extra power, quicker 0 to 60, I think it looks quite nice. I think, honestly, at least from what we've seen, I think, obviously, like, pricing is going to have to play into all this. Especially all the cars. Everything is getting, pricing is going to change. Everything is affected on tariffs because even if you assemble it here, you still get tariffed on parts. So, listen, everything is going to change price-wise. We don't know how much. Might be a little bit, might be a lot, maybe might be none. Maybe they'll eat it up or work out a deal. I will say, though, Volkswagen did kind of the least. I think it was definitely time to bring the T1 over. I appreciate you bringing it over. I'm excited for it as an owner too as well. I mean, I'm excited for it. I was looking at Jetta GTI and like a Mazda 3 and things, but I would definitely consider that. I do want to see with pricing, with the tariffs, especially how that works, but I think that's Tiguan's their number one model, so Volkswagen has a lot to gain there. I just say they did the least because they didn't really change anything with the Golf GTI and the Golf R, except for like color and stuff. Hyundai, the Palisade, big upgrade to it. Obviously like the interior and the exterior change, but really to me, the Hyundai Palisade, its biggest thing is that powertrain. I will put Hyundai as doing a little bit more to gain from this, from like second place in terms of what they did, just because of the powertrain, and because the Palisade, I think, is a stronger, like, numbers wise, obviously the T1 is more affordable, but I think the Palisade has a little more of an impact, potentially in the future with that hybrid powertrain. So it's interesting to see how the Palisade and Telluride numbers will be affected there, especially already coming over another year-over-year best. It was like 23 or 24% increase. I think though VW, only on the Tiguan, it was meaningful. Like, honestly, I think the Golf GTI and the Golf R, yeah, I mean, you show it there because it's an auto show, but that could have been an email. The T1 was the only interesting one, and I think the other reason as well I put, even though I'm an owner of a VW Tiguan, the reason I put the Tiguan and Volkswagen third place in this news is because overseas, everybody else has had the more powerful versions of the Tiguan, and here in America, we've been asking for it for years. Like, even before this generation came out on MQB, like, we've been asking for it for years, and finally we're getting it, but VW, as usual, it was super slow to the party. So, in terms of ranking, third place for VW, second place for Hyundai, but oh my goodness. Now, yes, Hyundai, Kia, parent company, I get it, but Kia, number one. For two reasons, because, first of all, the K4 Hatchback, amazing. Okay, amazing. Truly, it truly is. Obviously, look, everything depends on pricing, but Kia really has the most to gain from this. If they price that K4 hatchback right, and maybe do some more performance upgrades in the future, that thing can easily sell like hotcakes, and I think it looks phenomenal. I really think it looks phenomenal, better than the sedan, and better than the K5, looks phenomenal. You price it right, it hits everybody in the market. So many people, so many families and younger folks can afford that, or even older folks just want a smaller car. The K9, nice. I don't see too many of them around. I've only seen like one or two, but giving it more capability and things, especially it being built in America, it's a big model for them. That one, not as much of an impact though, but really that K4 hatchback and that EV4, first global sedan, and it's supposed to be an affordable model. I mean, with 330 miles of range, that's in line with Tesla Model 3 long range. I think if they price that thing right, look, this isn't going to have 300, 400, 500 horsepower. If it has like 180, probably maybe 150, 200, I get it. It doesn't need to have like 250, 300 horsepower, but if they price that thing right, that thing can sell like hotcakes. And I think for Kia too, because Tesla still suffers from quality control. We've seen it with the Cybertruck and just every other model. Kia has a really big opportunity here to take some market share, especially when EVs are kind of frowned upon, the EV market share. Let's be honest, EVs are not popular. They are not selling. We know this. We've been saying this. I think Kia really has a chance here to turn the narrative. Because I think for a lot of people, even like myself, like I'll still always own a gas car, but I would buy a really nice gas car to drive for fun. But then when I'm just everyday driving to work and stuff, where I don't really care about performance, if that thing is affordable enough to where I can get that, save money on gas, and because it's affordable enough, even in the long term with battery degradation, if it makes sense financially, Kia's got a really big opportunity here in front of them. So I think Kia easily is number one, with just from what we've seen with these three videos between Hyundai and VW. I think they have the most to gain from this. They have the most to win. And they also potentially have the most to lose, because if they mess that up, somebody else might take advantage. But Kia's got the most to gain here, and I think they're even immediately off the bat, they're going to gain the most. Hyundai is going to be second place. Volkswagen is going to be third place. Like I said, I think it's good that we got the Tiguan here in the iteration we're getting it. It's just, what was the wait? What was the wait, VW? Seriously, what was the wait? But I'm happy it's here. And yeah, this has just been an exciting day of the New York Auto Show. Obviously, there's going to be more, we got the auto show in China coming up next. Obviously, I will make a video, guys, of just where I've been and what's been going on in life and things like that. But as you can see, we are coming back to doing news. We're coming back to doing posting. We've even upgraded equipment and all that. So pretty soon we're going to be doing car reviews, and especially long-term reviews with more than like 50,000 miles on a car, because anything under 50,000 miles is a lot of long-term review. I'm sorry. But this is what's going to do it for Kia. Let me know what you guys and girls think down below. How did Kia do? How did Hyundai do? How did VW do? Who's won? Who won? What are you most intrigued in? But that's going to do it for now. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. See ya.